Hello student, welcome once again. Here is Rajesh sir YouTube channel. Now today we will discuss about probability. Next chapter of the mathematics. Next chapter of the mathematics we will discuss one by one and systematic way the probabilities and its related terms. There are a lot of terms associated with its and the probability. Where does it comes and how many terms is related to it? How we will define and how can we understood the probability? Probability includes many terms. When someone's in our experience and in our lives, someone is telling that it mostly probable chance doubts and chances and doubts are here, then we will say generally that chances doubts and some most probable things and maybe possibility impossibility and these outcomes and exact outcomes and is related to terms of the probabilities. It was in a modern period of times, it was most usable things in predictions of the coming information and the coming situations and then situations that going on here, and the natural disasters is also available here. So the different types of natural disasters is evidence in mathematics and in science, in general social study and also environmental study, behavior of the environments, and also celestial bodies, also celestial body in space and in inside earth, earthquakes and different types of the volcanic eruptions. These are different scopes and area of the area that we are defining each one by one the probability. So first of all, so we will systematic we write here the probability as a probability and related terms and try to reveal and describe each terms so that we can understood each well versed way and understood it and so that you can understood and get good marks in the examination. So first of all, introductions. In everyday lives, we come across statement such as in probability, okay, probability, okay, in everyday lives, in everyday life we come across with statement, we come across with statement. What is statement? First, second, third, fourth. There are mostly probable, okay, and most probably, first word is most probably. Most probably means that may be possible or possible. Most probably means that's nearest the closer period closer to it, means it may happen rain. Most probably it may happen rains means that it may be possible or possible. So it's the most probably chances are high. High the price of the petrol. Chances word here is chances means the chances are the high of the rate of the petrols. It is the chances and that's I doubts that he will win the race or not. So doubt doubts means that's maybe possible that is maybe a win price or not price. It is doubts, and also we can also use here the different probabilities. Most doubts are doubts and probability chances and most probables. These are the forecasting forecastings in these letters that's actually told as that that work will be possible or impossible. Both types of the statements is coming here. So these both types of the statements is said to be the experiments, means that these are the experiments under come under experiment, and experiments means that's the experiments experiment. This is the experiments, means the experiment includes that it's experiments all possible. Sorry, experiments in operation. It is operations well defined outcomes. So okay, so it's an operation experiment related to the operations means well defined outcomes. Operations mean outcomes. Outcomes is that's a result. What will be the result? Outcomes is associated with the results. Outcomes here is called experiments. So experiments generally we are discussing here associated with the outcome of the result, means the operations in which the total outcomes is said to be the result. And if we are discussing about the total outcomes, the total experiments is said to be the results. Each outcome is associated with an event, means that these outcomes is associated with each outcomes is related to the each outcomes event. So each outcome is event. So outcomes, each outcomes is events. Each outcomes is events, and each events is said to be the outcomes, and the outcome is operation. Outcomes is operations that called experiment. So experiments here is outcome is experiments. So here is the random experiments. So we are doing the experiment. So here is the experiment. So a random experiment. What is random experiment? Random experiments means that if the outcomes, it is also possible outcome are known as all possible outcomes. Experiments in which all possible outcome known, all possible outcomes are known as the random experiments. Possible outcome is known. It is known, and not possible outcome is unknown, and unpossible outcome is unknown. So these are the terms related to the possible outcomes and not possible outcomes. So every daily lives we are generally using these words. So in a possible outcome, so is known as a random. So random experiments is generally by the trials we means performing a trials, means that's random experiments. It is also called trials. Trials means random experiments is set with each random experiment is set with the trials. So here is the random experiment. So we have discussed here we are discussing here the random experiments. So here is the terms and different terms we have defined here, but one by one we will define so that you can understand it. First of all, we will try to understand the history of the probability. So history of probability. What is history? History generally is in our daily lives. The origin of the subject can be traced in corresponding between the two French mathematicians, B. Pascal and Pierre. So B. Pascal and Pierre. Okay. So B. Pascal and Pierre, two scientists was here. So two scientists deformates in 65 French noblemen and gamblers. Deformate French nobleman, great gambler. He is a great gambler, nobleman. So B. Pierre, B. Pascal and B. Pascal's Pierre, B. noblemen, D. Fremels and yes, and French noblemen. First of all, he is a great gamblers, and Charles Moray asked Pascal to solve certain dice problems. And Charles asked Pascal to solve dice problems. So Charles asked to Pascal to solve dice problems. So Pascal solve these problems and solve these problems in a collaboration with a scientist known as Permit. Is with the help of Permits. Pascal generally with the help of permit a scientist as a mathematician. So he says with the help of this mathematicians he solve problems and understand the mathematics in this way. And after that, Huygens is a Dutch chemist. Dutch scientist Huygens wrote the first book in the probability. Dutch scientist. Dutch scientist. Okay. First of all, Dutch scientist here revealed that theory of experiment, probability, first book, and probability right of first books. Huygens. Okay, named Huygens. First, the scientist Huygens first write the probability in write the first books on a probability. So here is the scientist, and here is the some other scientists in 1713. In 1713, first scientist that was Moore published, A.D. Moore. So okay, first scientist most responsible books written by Bernoulli. Bernoulli first written the first book on probability. Okay, first book written on probability. Second, 1748. In 1748. Second book was written in 1748. De Moire published his books Doctrine of Chances. De Moire, write the doctrine of probability, doctrine of probabilities. In another years, in 1812, Laplace. 18 and 12, Laplace was the first. Laplace published books analytic theory of probability. Here is the analytic theory of probability. So analytic theory of probability was given by Laplace. Here is the Laplace. After Laplace, the statements has comes Dutch scientist Laplace. He's given the analytical theory of probability, and in 20th century, an important contributions made by the Russian mathematicians A. Markov and A.N. Kolmogorov. Russia, 20th century. Given the A.L. Markov, A.A. Markov, and also A.A. Markov and A.N. Kolmogorov, A.L. Kolmogorov. Given the first various fields in the Russian scientists give the important contributions of in probability in mathematics. So these are the some scientists whose work on the probabilities most effectively. So here's the terms. We will discuss about the terms related to the probability, as we have discussed here. So first, most probable chances, doubts, and forecast. These are experiments. So here we have given a experiment. Experiment was related completely. I had already told you that experiment was related to the experiment. Experiment is operation of outcomes. Okay, operation of outcomes, and each outcomes is event, and each outcomes is events, and events and random experiments means the possible outcomes is known as known possible outcome is called random. So okay, random experiments, and unknowns, and which possible outcome is not known, it is said to be the random experiment, is said to be the trials. Random experiment means each possible outcome is random experiment is said to be the trials. These are the probability related to terms we had discussed here and solve the related problems here. So important experiment empirical formula of the probabilities. We know that number of, we will write here the empirical formula of probability. So empirical empirical formula probabilities, we will write as empirical empirical formula of probability. Empirical formula in probability EP. Okay, empirical formula of probability PE. Okay, probability in empirical formula P, and we will write here E is always be equal to, we can write here number of the trials in which the event happens. We will write here number of trials in which each event happen, and upon, so we will write here total number of trials. So total number of trials, these are the total number of trials. So these are the total numbers of empirical formula. By with the help of this empirical formula, we will try to solve a different types of the probability related problems in another chapter. So thank you very much for coming on. Don't forget to say subscribe my channel so that you cannot miss the video. Okay, bye.